Hey everyone, welcome. So today, we're going to break down a really important assignment, your revision plan. And trust me, this is about so much more than just fixing typos. It's about learning how to completely re-see and transform your final research paper.
So let me just ask you, when you hear that word revision, what's the first thing that comes to mind? For a lot of us, right, it's that image of a red pen just hunting down spelling mistakes, fixing commas, that kind of thing. But is that really all there is to it?
Well, not even close. And this slide really gets to the heart of it. Over on the left, you've got editing. That's the surface level stuff, correcting mistakes, swapping out a word here and there. But on the right, you have revising, and that's a whole different beast. It's about rethinking your entire argument, maybe shifting the whole structure, and really truly re-seeing your paper's purpose.
And that's the core idea behind this whole assignment, learning to see your paper with fresh eyes. This isn't just another hoop to jump through. It's honestly one of the most critical skills you can develop as a writer.
The term we're going to use for this is revision as re-seeing. It's all about stepping back from what you've already written and looking at it like you've never seen it before. It means you've got to be ready to make big, fundamental changes, not just to the words, but to the very skeleton of your work, your argument, the structure, and what you're trying to achieve. Now, this idea is inspired by the work of a researcher named Nancy Sommers, and what she found is fascinating. She saw that most student writers think of revision as just a tidying up process, but experienced writers, they see it completely differently. For them, revision is where they actually find their argument. It's not about polishing something that's finished, it's part of the discovery.
Okay, so how do we take this cool theory and actually put it into practice? That's where your assignment comes in. You're going to craft a revision plan. Think of it as your 500-word blueprint for turning your paper from pretty good into something great.
And don't get stressed out about the task. We're talking about just 500 words. That's it. This is meant to be a short, focused document where you map out the big moves you're going to make. It's all about the quality of your thinking, not the quantity of your writing.
And your plan breaks down into these 4 simple steps. First, you're going to talk about how your thesis has grown and changed. Second, you'll analyze your own revision style. Third, you'll list out at least 3 big changes you plan to make. And finally, and this is key, you'll explain why you're making those changes. Let's dig into each one.
All right, step 1 is all about reflection. I want you to start by just writing down your thesis as it is right now. Then think back. Is that the same argument you started with? Has your purpose changed at all since that first draft? It's totally normal for an argument to evolve as you write and research. So just explain that journey.
Now for step 2, you're going to turn the microscope on yourself. Look back at the changes you've made so far. Have you mostly been tinkering with sentences, or have you been tackling those bigger structural issues? This is where you connect your own process back to what Nancy Sommers talks about. Right now, are you approaching this like a student writer or an experienced writer? Okay, step 3. This is really the meat of your plan. You need to outline at least 3 very specific changes you're going to make. So don't just say, I need to make my argument stronger. No, say something like, in paragraph 4, I'm going to replace my current evidence with a quote from Smith's article to better support my new thesis. I need to know what you're changing and where.
And that leads us right into the 4th and honestly the most crucial part of this whole thing. For every single change you list, you have to explain the why. Why does that paragraph need to move? How will that new piece of evidence make your argument more compelling? That why is what shows me you're revising with real, thoughtful intention.
And to really get that why right, it helps to have a solid handle on the theory. So let's just do a quick deeper dive into this distinction that Nancy Sommers draws between student writers and experienced writers. This table really just lays it all out. You see, student writers tend to stay at the word and sentence level. They're basically just correcting things. They see language as, well, as a way to dress up ideas they already have. But experienced writers, they focus on the big picture, the structure, the meaning, the argument. They are rethinking. For them, the act of writing is a tool for discovering brand new ideas.
So just take a second and be real with yourself. After working through 2 drafts of this paper, which one of those columns sounds more like you? Which one best describes your process so far? And look, there's no judgment here. The whole point of this is to build self-awareness, because you can't grow as a writer until you know where you're starting from. All right, let's wrap this up and talk about the final takeaway. This assignment is designed for one big reason: to give you the mindset and the tools you need to take a pretty good draft
and turn it into a fantastic paper.
And before you start writing, just a quick reminder on the nuts and bolts. Keep it to around 500 words. Make sure it's in MLA format, and you absolutely have to reference and cite ideas from both of the summer's readings we've done. And of course, that means you'll need a works cited entry at the end.
When it's all said and done, your goal with this plan is simple. You're proving that you get it. You're showing that you understand revision isn't some quick thing you do at the end. It is a deep, ongoing, and totally central part of how good writing actually happens.
So I'm going to leave you with this final question to think about as you work. When that deadline comes, are you going to submit a paper that's just been corrected? Or are you going to submit one that's been truly transformed? The choice, and the plan to get there, starts right now.